Welcome to our Collaborate with OneNote session. I'm Jim Blair from Aberdeen. Joining me from the Aberdeen team are TJ Horner, who's producing the live event today, and Kyle Harris, who will be moderating the questions you submit in the queue. We have partnered with Nancy from Successful Organizing Solutions for our event today. Nancy is certified in both Microsoft Outlook and OneNote, and she's actually operated her own consulting and training firm for the last 20 years, where she focuses on helping end users maximize their use of the Microsoft Office products to be more efficient and better organized. Nancy focuses on the user side of the technology, where at Aberdeen we focus on the back end of the technology. So we're glad we were able to partner with her for today's event. I'm personally very excited about the event today. We started using OneNote at Aberdeen about 7 years ago. I personally use OneNote to manage most of my work. For example, the meetings that we organize, both internally and client-facing meetings, we manage that in OneNote. I also use OneNote to create checklists. In those checklists, I can actually email to somebody and fill out the checklist for specific things that I may need somebody to work on. I also use it to kind of manage my active to-do lists, along with quite a few other uses. OneNote is a very powerful app, and we're looking forward to sharing some of those capabilities here today.
Jim, thank you for the opportunity to share Microsoft OneNote with your audience. There are multiple versions of OneNote, but today's session is going to focus on OneNote 2016 desktop app. Most of the items I will be discussing today can also be done in the Windows 10 or the web app or even on the app on your device, but the location of the ribbon and the steps to get there might just be a little bit different. The OneNote 2016 app is just more robust, and it contains several features that are just not available currently in the Windows 10 or the web app. So you might be asking, what is OneNote and why might I want to use it? So let me start with why might you want to consider using OneNote? Do you currently take notes during a meeting in a notebook? Or do you write your to-do list on paper? How quickly can you find that note that you took? How often do you find you rewrite your to-do list? If you find it frustrating and time-intensive to access information, or if you feel you spend more time rewriting your to-do list than working on your to-do list, then OneNote just might be the answer. OneNote is essentially a digital notebook, which allows you to easily capture a variety of information, from project ideas to travel plans, maybe even decisions that your team or you have made, and meeting notes. There really are no boundaries on what you can capture in OneNote. Today we will cover how OneNote is organized and how to organize the information you add to OneNote, how to capture different types of information in OneNote, how to share a OneNote notebook and collaborate with others, the powerful search features in OneNote, and how OneNote integrates with other applications. Let's begin with how OneNote is organized. As I mentioned, OneNote is essentially a digital binder. So the first layer of organization is the notebook, which is similar to a binder. The notebook holds all the information together. Once you open any of the notebooks in the app, doesn't matter if it's the desktop, the Windows 10, or your device, that notebook is going to stay open for you. So unlike with a Word document, you open it, you edit it, you have to close it. When you open a notebook, it's going to stay there. The next time you open OneNote, you're going to see that notebook. The next layer in a notebook are the sections. And think of sections as tabs in your binder. They help divide the information that you're going to put into your notebook. In OneNote 2016 desktop app, you not only see the sections under the notebook, like you see on the left-hand side here that I've highlighted, but also above the pages, and they appear as tabs just like they would in your binder. Section groups is a third layer, and they allow you to group sections together Creating section groups is helpful in your notebook when you have a large number of sections. And finally, pages. Pages are added to each section. This is where you add information to your notebook. In all versions of OneNote, you can create subpages. Subpages, like section groups, allow you to group the pages together. With both section groups and page and subpages, you're able to collapse them, which makes it just a little easier to see the larger picture, whether it's the larger categories or the larger subject of the type of information inside of that section. So you might be saying, great, so that's how the notebook is organized, but how do I create a new notebook? Open the OneNote 2016 desktop app and click on File. You then get an option for New. You're going to select the location for your notebook. If you do want to share it, it's going to be important that it is either in OneDrive or a SharePoint site. Give your notebook a name, and then go ahead and click Create Notebook. You're now ready to start adding information to your digital OneNote notebook. Adding pages is very easy. You just need to click on Add a Page. How much easier could it get? And if you want to add a section, you'll notice up on the top next to those tabs or those sections above your pages, there's a plus sign. Just go ahead and click that plus sign, and that will add a new section. You also can add a new section by right-clicking on an existing section. It pops up a drop-down menu, and you can see there's Add a New Section or Add a New Section group there. It's also pretty easy to make subpages. So you're on a page and you have 7 pages you want to make subpages. You just go ahead and right-click on any one of the pages that you want to make a subpage. You'll see the menu pops up, the option there to make a subpage. You just click on that. You can also drag and drop them from to the right, and that will make a page a subpage. You also see that there's the ability there to promote subpages. So if you accidentally made a page a subpage, you can very easily right-click on it and promote it from a subpage to a main page. As a best practice, I encourage you to take just a little bit of time to think about how you might want to organize your notebook. This can save you time in the long run as you're adding new information. It'll be very clear of what section you want to add that information or section group.
You know, Nancy, being able to collapse your notebooks is very helpful. I use that quite a bit, but one of the things, I probably have about 50 or 60 notebooks that I use. You know, obviously I have them broken out by different categories of things that I do. What I find is, you know, the ability to actually name your pages and have them represent the date of an activity. So I use a year, month, date kind of at the start of each notebook page. And then that way I can see kind of chronologically what notes were for what meeting day.
Right. That's definitely important. And right here where I say, you know, talk about or think about how you want to organize your notebook. It's not just the names of your sections, but also what is your naming convention for your pages. Thanks, Jim. But if you find that you've accidentally added a page or a section to the wrong notebook, don't worry. You can easily move pages and sections with just a right click. So if you're on a section, you right click and you can move it. If you're on a page, you can right click and move it. You can also drag and drop them and move them around as well. So now that you know how OneNote notebooks are organized, let's take a look at all the types of information you can add to your pages. To see the options of what can be inserted into OneNote, click Insert in the menu bar. As you can see here, depending on what version of OneNote you are using, the menu will look just a little bit different. So let's go ahead and start adding information. First, let's add text to a page. all I need to do is click anywhere on the page and begin typing. What happens when you type is it creates a container around your text, and that container holds all the information that you would add to the page. As you see here, I've added multiple containers on the page. Now, unlike Word, you can easily drag these containers anywhere on the page and they can overlap. So they're not going to fight each other like your text boxes in Word. And that can be a really nice advantage to be able to put one text box or one container right next to or even overlaid on top of each other. To add images to the page, click Insert and then Pictures, and that will open up the Insert Picture window. Find the picture that you want to insert, click Insert. The image is automatically added to your page, and as you can see here, it went inside of a container. Maybe there's a document that you would like to include in your notebook. You don't want to have to go and find that Word document or that PDF. You just want to have the information right in your notebook and easily accessible. You can print the document to OneNote. The document is added as an image and you're not able to edit the document. And one of the reasons for adding a printout rather than the document that is editable is if you want people to view the information but not necessarily modify it, there are a couple of ways that you can add a printout of a document to OneNote. The first one is inside of OneNote. Go to Insert on your menu and click File Printout. Then select the file from the Choose Document to Insert window and click Open. Also, if you had that Word document open, you can send or print to OneNote right from there. You would then select Send to OneNote 2016 from the printer list and click Print. In the Select location in OneNote, you're going to select the section that you would like to insert the printout. The document will be added to the new page in that section. You can also take handwritten notes on your tablet. You can do it on your computer, and that's actually what I did here. I wrote that with my mouse. But whether it's on the computer or whether it's with your tablet, OneNote can convert your handwriting into text. And that makes it very easy to search your notebook. If you find that you use whiteboards in meetings and you draw all over things, consider just opening up OneNote. And again, if you have a tablet, it makes it much easier, but you certainly can do it using your mouse on your computer screen. You can write notes, draw images, flow charts, map out a process, do even mind mapping on a OneNote page, and it all gets captured inside of here. I don't know about you, but I'm constantly wanting to grab a screen snip of something. And Microsoft has made this very easy with using a keyboard shortcut. If you haven't used this before, I'm telling you, it's probably going to become your best friend. You can do this anywhere, not just into OneNote. You can clip something and put it in an email. But what you're going to do is you're going to hold down the Windows logo key, plus the Shift key, plus the S. So hold all of those down at the same time. Your screen's going to go a little bit gray. Go ahead and just draw a box around what you want to capture. When you release, it has put that into your clipboard. Go to your OneNote page or your email or a Word document and just paste whatever you just captured from your screen onto that page. You also have the ability to insert files into OneNote. And this does create a copy of the file, just like when you attach a file to an email. So if you need to edit the file, you want to make sure that you open OneNote and that you then double click on the file that you have inserted or attached on that OneNote page and edit it, not the original file. If you open the file from within OneNote, all the changes that you make will be saved to the file attached. And when you or anyone else on your team opens the file the next time inside of OneNote, all those changes will be visible. And I find as a best practice, if you are attaching a file into OneNote, delete that original file so that you don't accidentally make changes on both of them and then wonder why you're not seeing them. So the best practice that I like too is with OneNote and email is to insert a link to the file rather than necessarily attach it. Because also when you attach those files inside of OneNote, it just makes your OneNote notebook, the file itself, just larger and larger the more attachments you put in there. So if a file is living in a cloud location, you can go ahead and grab a link to that. In this example, I copied a link from a SharePoint site and pasted it in here. Next time I need to edit this, I can pop onto that OneNote page, click on the link, and it's going to open my original file, not a copy like the attached file does.
Nancy, it's so helpful when you can put all this information into a notebook. So I'll give some examples of maybe some personal notebooks that I have. So, for maintenance on a car, you get a receipt and you get a voucher that says this is the maintenance that was done on the car. What I do is I take a picture of those and I put them in my notebook and I throw the paper away. So it's one way I use it personally. But another example is everybody probably has drawers of user manuals for various appliances they own around their home. What I did is I actually found the electronic copy of those as PDFs. Basically dump those PDFs into my OneNote notebook. Now they're all searchable. So the PDF is now a searchable document, and I have all of them in one place. And I threw away probably 2 drawers of documents that I had, on the appliances that we have in our house, for example.
Right. And if you can't find the electronic version of those manuals, you could always scan them and then go ahead and take that PDF, insert it as a printout.
Yep.
Great idea, Jim. You can also create templates that can be reused. So here's an example of a template for meeting notes: the subject, the date, who attended, what the agenda was, and then the notes of the meeting. Here's just another template sample, an idea planner. What's the thing that we're talking about? Do we have a due date? What are our goals and objectives? What are the status? Who's going to do what? Due dates. So you can create all sorts of templates and just make copies of them the next time that you want to use them. And it's just really helpful and convenient.
We actually use that quite a bit at Aberdeen. So I actually have probably about 30 or 40 different checklists that I use with some of the support staff. And so, I create those templates in OneNote. And then because I can send the OneNote page to Outlook, it basically drops that table into Outlook. And then I can fill in the information that I'm going to send out in an email to somebody else who I may need some assistance with. So that way I can kind of verify that I'm giving all the information that's needed. So it's very powerful from the standpoint because you can create the notebook, but then send the notebook or share the notebook. And when you send it, it really becomes like a template in itself that you can send via email.
What a great use of OneNote. One of the biggest benefits to OneNote is the ability to collaborate with others. But the notebook does need to be stored in a location that allows sharing, such as OneDrive. So this image shows OneNote on the web. Everything else I've showed you is OneNote Desktop 2016. And as you can see here, all new notebooks will be saved to OneDrive. I logged into my Microsoft account on the web and then went to OneNote, and it shows me all of the OneNote notebooks. Here's the recent ones I've been in, any notebooks I've pinned. This happens to be a list of my notebooks. If I go to OneNote on the web and create a new notebook, by default, it is going to be stored in my OneDrive. So no matter what version of OneNote you're using, you can share notebooks which are stored on OneDrive, and that gives you the ability to share and collaborate. But if you're in a company and you really want to share with a whole bunch of people, kind of a best practice is to save the notebook on a SharePoint site. So as you can see here, I added the notebook to the SharePoint navigation to make it easy to access. In shared notebooks, one of the advantages is that you can see who made changes on a page. The authors are going to show to the right of the page containers. And you have the ability when you go to the History tab in your menu to hide the authors or show the authors. When you're live in a notebook and you put your mouse over that, it will pop up and let you know who the co-author is and who added some information.
Nancy, this is one of the really nice things for meeting agendas. When you have multiple people collaborating on an agenda, instead of sending a document around that people add to that, everybody can work with it actively on the fly. And right before the meeting, people can be editing and updating those agendas that are in a shared location like that. And it's something we found to be very, very helpful on our end. So I just want to share that.
Absolutely. So now you've added information to your notebook and you've shared a notebook with others. How do you search for information? Earlier, I mentioned how frustrating and time consuming it can be to find information captured in your paper notebook. But since the information is now digital in your OneNote notebook, you can perform searches. And like other Microsoft apps, OneNote has a powerful search capability. Clicking on the arrow at the end of the search box on the top right of OneNote allows you to narrow your search to specify a notebook or a section or even the page that you're on. And this is especially helpful if you have several notebooks open. You can change the default scope as well. So just by selecting this notebook and then clicking set this as the scope, it will always by default initially only search the notebook that you're in and not all of your notebooks. So when you type a word in that search bar, it will show you where that word appears in the title and on the page. Clicking on an item in the search results will take you to that page. If it's not the right page, your search result window stays open. You just click on another page or another section or a title, and until you get to the page that you want. And then when you click on the page, then your search box will close so that you can go ahead and read, review, or edit the information.
We have a contractor we work with that does home remodeling. He takes before and after pictures for every job that he does. He actually uses those pictures when he's out on potentially with a new prospect or a new job where he can show people. So, by tagging the type of work or labeling the kind of work that he did, in the notebook, it's searchable. And then he can give somebody an example, from his notebook on his tablet when he's right there with that person.
Another great use of OneNote. There's just so many.
One of the other things that's very powerful when you're using pages is every page is basically a different version. So if multiple people are making changes on a page, there's a version history and you can see who made the last change. So you can actually go to that page and right click and you can look at the page history and you can actually look at a previous version of the page, or you could restore a version to the current version of the page.
Right. So earlier I showed you how to insert a printout onto a page. OneNote also searches the words in the printout. It makes it OCR. And so even though this printout is an image, a JPEG that I can't edit, I can search it. So as you can see here in that search, I said, look just on this page, and it found 5 different matches where the word OneNote appeared on this printout. A quick way to find recent edits can be found in the history bar. You can define the date range, and the search results pane will show you what pages have recently been modified. Click on the page that's listed there under like today, and if I clicked on insert files, it would take me to that page. Now, maybe the date modified isn't helpful. Maybe I want to search by who modified it. So clicking the drop-down arrow next to sort by date modified, I can sort by a section, a title, or an author, and I can easily change that at any time. Integrations make it easy to share information between apps. I will show you several integrations between OneNote and Outlook, and an easy way to send a web page or an article from a web page. If you use Outlook tasks, you're going to love this feature because you can easily add an item on any page in OneNote to your Outlook task list. From the Home tab, locate the tags grouping and click Outlook tasks. As soon as you do that, it pops up, looks just like as you're adding a flag to an email message in Outlook. Go ahead and select your to-do your due date, and this adds a task to your Outlook task list. In OneNote, what you will see is a flag in front of that line item, and then in your task list in Outlook, you will see that task. These two items are linked together. So when you mark the task complete in Outlook, it will also mark it complete in OneNote and vice versa. You can easily share information in your notebook with anyone by emailing them a page. And Jim mentioned this earlier with some of the templates that they use. He goes and finds that page and he emails it so that whoever he's sending it to can just go ahead and complete that checklist. Again, you want to be on your home in your menu bar, and then you should see email the page. What happens when you email the page that you're on is it actually inserts it into the body of the email message. I think the best practice is to only email pages to those who don't have access to the notebook. So for example, meeting minutes that you've taken in your personal notebook and want to share.
One of the things that's very helpful when you email the page is if you're like prepping for a meeting and you have multiple documents that you want to share with a client, you can organize that in the agenda itself, and attach those in the agenda. And then when you send the page, it actually populates the email with those documents as attachments in the email. And that's extremely helpful because you can organize what you want to have for that meeting in the agenda, but then convey it in the email without extra steps.
Oh, that's great. I love that idea. If you decide to use OneNote for meeting minutes, you could use the meeting minute template, as I showed you earlier. You can also insert those meeting details included in your Outlook meeting onto your OneNote page, and it just saves you so much time. So again, from home in your menu bar, you should see next to email a page. And again, this is only in 2016, meeting details. And when you click on meeting details, it's going to pop up and it's going to say, hey, here's the meetings that you have today. But maybe I'm getting this prepped for a meeting happening tomorrow or next week. Then I can go ahead and click choose a meeting from another day. It'll show me pop up another window and I can scroll back and forth on dates and I can find that meeting. As soon as I click on the meeting details are then inserted on the page and ready for you to take notes. One of the nice things that I like about meeting details, pulling it right into Outlook, is it gives you all the details that are in that Outlook meeting invitation. It shows you the message invitation. So whatever you had in the details, if there was the agenda listed there, it would be listed. Who the participants are with check boxes that you can check who actually showed up and participated in that meeting. Again, it does that nice linking between Outlook and OneNote.
Nancy, one thing I found to be very helpful with the pages in OneNote, or if it's a meeting agenda, is I actually start the name of the agenda with the year, the month, and the date. And then when I'm looking at my notebook, I can see which agenda is from which meeting. And it's very easy to find the most current one if you do date it. The pages are dated, but it's easier in the search if you have that in the name of the page.
Those are great tips. Another Outlook integration allows you to send an email message to OneNote. So if you have a message in your email and you're going, you know what, this really needs to be in our team or my personal OneNote notebook, and in Outlook on that email message, you can either, when you have the message highlighted in your ribbon, click on the OneNote icon, or if you right click on the email message, you'll see that on the pop-up that there's OneNote listed there too. Either one of those is then going to give you this window. It's going to show you all the notebooks that you have open, and you just go ahead, you pick your notebook, you pick your section, and then click OK. And it adds that email information right on into that notebook where you want it, instead of, oh, is it in OneNote or is it in email? Now, the one thing, again, a best practice I recommend is if you've made the decision to send that email to your notebook because that's your primary source of information, delete the email message, because otherwise you're going to be searching for it in both places. So earlier I showed you how to grab a screen snip, but what if you want to grab a whole article from a web page, which doesn't fit on the screen? You have to scroll and scroll and scroll. You can add what they call the OneNote Clipper to your browser. So open your browser, whatever your preferred search engine is, and search for OneNote Clipper. In this case, I use Chrome. So I just opened up Chrome and typed, look for the Chrome OneNote Clipper. It popped up and said, hey, here it is in the store. I clicked on that. It took me right to the store. And it says, hey, do you want to go ahead and add this? And I said, yep. Went ahead and clicked add to Chrome. And it just adds a OneNote icon in my kind of right in a line with my address bar in my browser. So whenever I'm using Chrome and I find something of interest, I click on that OneNote icon in my browser, and it pops open this window on the right-hand side that says, what do you want to snag? Do you want to snag the full page, just a region, article on this page, a bookmark, and then where do you want to send it? What location? And you'll see there's a drop down there. So the notebooks that I have signed into are available. And again, that is kind of step number one. If you're using it for the first time, you do want to make sure that you sign in, because otherwise it can't send it anyplace if you don't sign into your Microsoft account. So once you've signed in and you've selected what you want to clip and you've chosen where it's going to go, all you have to do is click clip, and it sends that information over into that OneNote notebook for you. If your company is using the collaboration app Microsoft Teams, you can integrate your team notebook into your Teams app for easy access. It just gets added as a tab in your channel. Since OneNote notebooks are stored in a cloud location, OneDrive or SharePoint, and that's one of the big advantages of not on your C drive, you can access them from anywhere, anytime, on any device. Download the free app on your device. Just go to your store. I found that it's helpful when I travel. I put all of my travel information in my notebook, my flight, my hotel, my car rental, the excursions I want to go on, phone numbers, restaurants, and then I don't have to carry any paper copies. And you can also add information on the go. Jim was talking about one of his clients who takes pictures. So you can open up the notebook, the section, a new page, or even an existing page, and you'll see that there's a camera on there. You just go ahead and take a picture and it adds it right to it. Because it's in a cloud location, when you get back to your desk or your office and you want to look at it, all that information is synchronized and available for you.
You know, one of the things I like, Nancy, with that is, most of the time I use, OneNote through my computer, and I'm using the OneNote app. But, it might be 10 o'clock at night and I'm thinking about something for a meeting agenda, and I can go to my mobile phone and I can type it in real quick. I don't have to go to my computer, get it turned on or whatever, to get those notes in there. But the other thing that's really helpful, and as you look at the left image on your screen, you've got notebooks in that purple color, and then to the far right there, you've got sticky notes. And sticky notes have been around for quite a while, and they're on people's computers, and it's a digital Post-it note. And basically the problem with sticky notes is they stayed on your computer and they didn't go. They added this so that it actually syncs with the OneNote app. And so when you're on your mobile device, you can look at those digital Post-it notes that you actually have on your computer. And I found that to be very, very helpful. It's one of my favorite features that I use on a regular basis.
Oh, that's great. So now OneNote is a powerful tool in of itself to help capture and share information, but the OneTastic add-in just increases the base functionality in OneNote. This is just a sample of the many macros. That's what they call them when they add them on. They're a macro that completes multiple tasks at one time for you. My favorite added functionality provided by OneTastic is the ability to crop photos. For some reason, this isn't a standard feature in OneNote, but by adding OneTastic on and then adding the crop feature, that just makes my life so much easier. So check it out. You can download it for free at getontastic.com. And if you need more functionality, really the cost is nominal.
This is one of those that actually we learned from you, Nancy, is that OneTastic I didn't know that existed. And, hence, that's been very helpful, that you shared that with us. One of the frustrations I had with my notebooks is I have all my notebooks open, but they're all in different chronological order. And so, using OneTastic, you can sort your notebooks and just little things like that that make it better. That's a very powerful add-in.
Thanks for that, Jim. So if you discovered new ways to organize your notebook, or if you decided to share your notebook with someone else, or just start using OneNote, write down 1 to 3 of those OneNote ideas now and block time on your calendar to implement those ideas. Preferably act on those within 24 to 48 hours to maximize all the information that you learned today and be more productive.
If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. Obviously, we've provided our contact information on the screen. We're here to help, and whatever assistance we can provide, we'd be glad to do. And I guess with that, we do want to conclude and thank everybody for spending the time with us today. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you.